Live from the Four Aces Studios, Four Aces brings to you West Coast Bias.
The following Four Aces production is for mature audiences only. Listener discretion is highly advised.
Hey, listener,
Yo,
Dutch
guys,
here from-
wait a minute. Stop that. No more commercials, not until the middle of the show. Right now, we get to talk. What's up, y'all? I am Double K Double, and right here chilling with OMalley. We here trying to get this sports talk on since, we on the verge of having sports come back, but we ain't quite there yet. One of the first sports to come back really full swing was soccer. A lot of the foreign leagues started making their comeback, I want to say, earlier this month. A couple of them have already played through their championships and stuff. So that was the first sport to come back. Next, we're looking at basketball. Now, the NBA has proposed this, let's call it bubble playoffs. They are basically taking 22 teams, 13 Western Conference teams, 9 Eastern Conference teams, and they're throwing them all in a bubble. Basically, they have all the hotels rented out. It's basically Walt Disney World that they're basically renting out for it's like a couple of month period of time. And the reason for this is to keep the players all isolated, so on and so forth. But they're running into this problem that continuously players are testing positive before we even get to Orlando. I think they've had something like 25 players in the past week that have tested positive. So and workers. So with that being said, I don't know if I see this happening, but the logistics of it are that those teams are going to play it out in a 8 game round robin round to decide the seeding for the playoffs. And then once the playoffs start, they'll play the typical 7-7-7 round to the NBA Finals, and the finals would take place somewhere in September, October. Basically, you would have the NBA playoffs run through the beginning of the football season, if there is a football season. So
and into the beginning of the basketball season.
Yeah, at this point, they were saying if this ends up going through, the new basketball season wouldn't start until December. So basically, we would
that's bullshit.
Yeah, we would get that partial season that we saw up through April. Then we get a partial season right now, July through October, and then you would get another partial season from December to June next year, and then we would begin back on our regular cycle.
I mean, is it really worth it? Are they that hard up for money that they're willing to put players' careers and lives at risk, and the lives of staff and workers and everybody else for a condensed season that at the end of the day ain't gonna mean shit?
Pretty much.
It's ridiculous. And there's a lot of players that don't agree with it. There's a lot of players who are upset because they feel like their input wasn't even asked for, let alone listened to.
Yeah.
And then there's this argument that they need to be offering them insurance in case something, God forbid, happens. Like, who wants to go back and play this and risk your entire career for this bullshit freaking bubble play?
And that's the part that kills me. Is that's basically what it is they're just like, yeah, risk your life. Come, because basically what it boils down to, and I was looking at the numbers earlier today, I guess is the total number is something like 2.1 billion is what the NBA would lose as a league if if they don't finish this season. And what is it? It was 1.2 of that is player salary. 1.2 billion of that is player salary.
Well, I also agree with the other argument coming from players is that this is, given what is going on in the United States and even the world right now, that this is a tone-deaf message.
Yeah.
That, especially given, just like what we were talking about with the NFL, especially given that the majority of the NBA is African American. And so you're going to put them in this bubble and put on a show for the whole country, right?
Yeah.
That doesn't seem right with everything that's going on in the world, does it?
Not to me.
I mean, even take COVID completely out of this. Just focus on the other part of what's been going on and the protests and the uprising due to George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery. I mean, all of these things going on, and the NFL's message is to throw a bunch of players in a bubble to perform for the rest of the world.
Well, we all know that since, the great LeBron wants it, we must give it to him.
Fuck LeBron. See, this is a perfect time for me to, it's fitting because, at this point, what does he have to lose? Because he could end his career right now and everything is peachy.
Yeah.
Not all the other players can say that.
Yeah,
that's a selfish move. He wants it right now because he thinks this is his best shot of getting a championship with the Lakers. That's why he wants it. There is no other reason other than that why he wants this. And I'm sorry, any team that wins this, it means nothing.
Pretty much. At least to me. I agree 100%
with
me,
that. We're all that matters.
Pretty much.
Fuck everybody else.
When we talk about it on this show, guess what? It won't mean shit. Period. Kind of like the Cavs 2016 title.
Right?
Yes. But yeah, and people need to understand that. I understand the players' concerns. It makes sense. Like, you don't want to risk bringing that shit back to your family. You don't want to risk getting stuck. What if all of a sudden somebody does sneak out, like they said, and all of a sudden he brings back it to all the players that are there? Oh, no.
Well, exactly, because now you're going to get what's happening, unfortunately, the horrible situation that's going on in our prisons right now, where there is absolutely no way to social distance or physical distance in prison. And they've become a hotbed for COVID because all it takes is one person to introduce it. And since you're all basically in this bubble together, it's just going to go from one person to the next person to the next person to the next person.
Yep.
And that, honestly, any kind of lung damage, what do you think that's going to do to somebody's career?
Over.
Yeah, you can't be right. I mean, basketball is one of them sports, like, it's high speed. It's not that football's not high speed, but you're not, back and forth, up and down the court, right?
Right.
And usually you have an offense and a defense. Your players aren't playing both things.
Right. You don't have to have that cardio going.
Exactly. So it's like one of these players get COVID and they may come through it, but they could come through it with some significant lung impairment.
Yeah.
And there goes the rest of their career. For what? Because some fuckers in suits said that this would be a great idea?
Pretty much, and that's how they're going to end up.
I honestly don't even think the fans want to see this jacked up, sorry excuse for a season, end of the season.
I'll have to say this. Based on what I've seen in a lot of my sports groups, some of these dumbass fans do. Period. Like, they do. Like, they care more about their desire to watch sports than they care about the health of the athletes. And they'll look you dead in the eye and go,
like
I'm not trying to say.
people who are complaining about wearing masks.
Nope.
A bunch of freaking selfish-ass people.
And so it kills me to watch people do that. But, at the end of the day, it's really up to the players. And if they can field enough players that are cool with going back there to do it, then do what you got to do to entertain people. I'm good. Like I said, people go, Kevin, what are you doing for sports these days? Well, when I want to watch football, I flick on my Madden. When I want to watch basketball, I go ahead and play me some NBA 2K20. When I want to play some baseball, I watch me a game of MLB The Show. Like, it really, like, don't get me wrong, I miss live sports. But I miss live sports because of the fact that I'm one of the dudes that's pissed off because I bought a season pass or season tickets for the Oakland A's this year. And it doesn't look like, it looks like there's going to be games now, but the games are not going to have any fans.
Yeah.
So it's just like, that's what I'm more pissed off about, is that I can't go to the live games. I literally had like 3 weekends set up because I had, through the A's package, the season ticket package that I chose, I had the ability to do what's called stacking tickets. So I could take tickets for, because I had 41 home games, which is half their home games, package. And basically what happened is that if I had a ticket for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I can grab 3 friends, go to Sunday's game or go to Thursday's game and use my tickets for Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and all of us go for free. And so I had set up like multiple weekends with people to be able to go to A's games and on me. And on top of that, with the A's pass, you get 50% off of concessions, including beer.
Woohoo!
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
So
like,
you mean, so it's $7 instead of $14?
Hey, I ain't gonna lie. Like, don't get me wrong. I still looked at it and went, damn, $16.50. But then I thought about it. Me and my homeboy went to, when I went to the game where I signed up for the season passes, right? The dude hooked me up with the 1 day pass that allowed me to get all the features, like 25% off of merchandise and and 50% off concessions. So I go up, me and my boy Cole go, because he gave us 2 first deck tickets. We go, we get there, we order 2 hot dogs, 2 Bud Lights, and I think we ordered some peanuts or something. She looked at us and said $16.50. I was like, and part of my brain went, damn, $16.50. But then I went, damn, all that shit would have cost us $35.
Right.
Like,
right. Like, it's like going to the movie theater.
Pretty much.
Like, I saw a meme the other day. Man, I miss spending $75 to go see a movie.
No shit. Oh man. But yeah, so okay.
But so the thing is like, I think right now that the players that really don't have a problem with it are some of the ones that aren't the ones who are the ones who are more depending on the check than the other ones.
Yeah, because they also understand that they're not going to just keep paying you forever.
Exactly. Like Durant even said, Durant could come back and play right now.
Right. And
he's already said he's not gonna.
Yeah.
There's absolutely no reason for him to.
And they said Trevor Ariza refuses or wants to spend that time with his son. Which, don't get me wrong, they're going to be playing, and this is the other part that worries me, outside of the whole COVID thing and all that. They're going to be playing so many games at so rapid of a pace because they're planning on going from 22 teams. Now, mind you, once again, they're playing an 8-game round robin, and they're going to play, and then they're going to play the actual playoffs. And they plan on being down to just 4 teams left in the bubble. Because I guess the teams, as soon as they're eliminated from the playoffs, they go home.
Not to mention, they've gone all this whole time without practicing. How conditioned are they really?
And that's the part that worries me, is that you're asking them basically to play. Each team plays an 8-game round robin. You figure, let's say by some random chance, every series goes to 7 games during the playoff series. So you're still talking about another, 1, 2, 3, 4 rounds of 7 games. So you're talking about 28 games, 36 games in less than a 3-month period of time. Okay, it can be done. It can be done when you think about it in that particular scope. But like you said, these players are coming off of not having played in months. Not even having.
It's going to be a shit show.
Yeah, I think it is. I think we're going to see. I'll put it to you like this: me and the Saint the other day played each other in NBA 2K20 on the PlayStation, and it was probably one of the sloppiest games of basketball you'll ever see in your life.
No, until they start this
freaking
until they start what's supposed to be happening at Disney World.
Yeah, exactly.
That'll be the sloppiest shit you've ever seen.
No shit. All right. Well, the MLB also has its plans. It's set plans to open up a season. I love Have you watched the back and forth between the MLB and the MLBPA? Because I genuinely think that the players, as excited as they say they are about coming back now, I genuinely don't think any of the players wanted to come back. Because did you see they proposed like a 90-game season? Players are like, no.
Yeah.
Then they proposed a 70-game season. Nah.
No.
They just kept having this back and forth. And then finally, even after they pitched the 60-game season, and the players were like, nah. They were like, finally the owners went, nah, fuck it. This is it. This is when y'all gonna report back. Y'all good?
The only ones that want to come back now are the ones that don't like their families and are sick of them and need to get away. That's the ones who are, because I think the majority of them right now are happy to finally be getting to spend this time that they normally wouldn't with their family.
I think so too. And that is a key to it.
We're going to be seeing a lot of COVID babies.
Yep.
A lot of COVID babies. We're going to be seeing. We're going to be seeing babies named Corona, Rona. I mean, something crazy. Yeah. Quarantine.
Yeah, no, I quarantine. Awesome. Anyway. But yeah, no, and here's the thing about it. The only thing I've seen that suggested anything right now has been the MLB is talking about fans-wise bringing in fans, at least at the Oakland Coliseum. They're talking about putting a drive-in theater, and putting up a big drive-in screen, because they still have those drive-in screens in the parking lot, and broadcasting the game on there and letting the fans sit out in their cars and watch the game on the big screen.
Almost like how during the playoffs for the Warriors, how they would open up the arena and watch it on the screen there, kind of, but more of a outdoor, no contact kind of thing.
Right. And so I'm like, I don't know, depending on how much they charging, I might be down to head down there for one of those and just sit in the car and watch a game. Who knows?
Yeah. I'm actually, at this point, I'm most interested in what's going to be happening with college football.
Yeah.
Because USC's first game of the season is supposed to be against Bama.
Really?
Yes. And I've been knowing this for almost 3 years now and been waiting on this shit. So I'm very curious and interested to see what they're going to end up doing for the college situation. Especially since most of the colleges are still for fall semester making their classes online.
Right. A lot of them, and I thought that they had said that they weren't planning on having fans back unless the kids were back at school. And I'm like, well, most of the colleges that I know are already saying like, yo, like, nah, there'll be no on course classes for a while. Um,
Yeah, at least they're saying at least through the fall semester,
yeah,
which means you can have kids who go to USC who live across the country.
yeah.
And also, so if they're not on campus, how are they supposed to be housing the athletes? How are the athletes supposed to be practicing? How are they and I'm concerned about conditioning and practicing because that's what keeps you from getting hurt.
But okay, but here's the thing about it. Here's where I see an opportunity that could be solved. Being that the rest of the campus, at say a place like Berkeley, at say a place like USC, being that 70% of the rest of the students, considering what sports pretty much makes up about 30% of the student body, so
Yeah.
you would figure 70% of the student body is going to be at home if they're not allowing any students in on campus. You feel what I'm saying? They're going to be at home or doing their thing. So then all it really boils down to is isolating the athletes. And basically at that point now you've got extra dorm rooms, so you can
Yeah, but
literally
you
put all
know
the
who's
football
been
players
the
in one
worst
dorm
about
room.
isolating, right?
What's that?
You know who's been the worst about isolating? It's these young kids.
Yeah,
It's these
true.
18, 19, 20, 21-year-olds. Like,
Yeah, true. You can't
the
put
world
55
is-
boys in one spot
Yes,
and not expect
you-
something bad to pop off.
Exactly. Exactly.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I mean, it's a recipe for you're daring them to go do something. It's like hide and watch because you know something is going to happen. And again, like what we were saying with basketball, it just takes one kid bringing that shit back, and
Very true.
everybody got it.
And everybody, yeah. And yeah, like I see what you're saying. Like I was just trying to think, like, because you have a whole university to work with, as far as
Yeah.
far as you know, what I'm saying space in order to space these kids out, so that way they're not all crammed into one area. But then again, like I said, I didn't think about the age factor of you're talking about a bunch of kids. That you're dropping in here and telling them to just basically chill out and go nowhere but to practice and back to the dorm and do your schoolwork online and then back to practice in the dorm. Yeah, nah. There are some that could do it because you know there are those ball is life kids. You know,
Yes.
like you know the guys.
But
that
those
ball
are the
is life.
exceptions. Those
Right.
aren't the rule. that we're not talking about Richard Sherman here.
Yeah, no, we're not. Which, by the way, love Richard Sherman. That man is just too intelligent
Now
for
you
his
do.
own damn good. Yeah, don't get me wrong. I openly admit the evening I talked about breaking his legs, the evening that he went off on his rant after that 49ers game with Michael Crabtree. Yeah, buddy, did I have some things to say about Richard Sherman? But I take them all back. Like, yes, he's wearing the red and gold, but also just listening. I got caught up in my feelings because for me it also boils down to
You're just angry. You were angry about him eating the turkey leg on the 50-yard line.
Actually, you know what? That didn't really bother me because I'm not into that part of sports tradition. Like I am at the college level. Like if that had been some dude from USC doing that in Memorial Stadium, oh, I'd still be living to this day. Okay? So, and it would be added to my list of reasons why I hate USC. So, you know, but at the pro level, you can kind of miss me with all that. Just like when people got all mad because Terrell Owens went and stood on the Star in Dallas. I was like, really, y'all grown men.
Yeah.
Get over it.
Grow up.
Grow up.
Grow up.
Like Terrell Owens said, you don't want him to do shit like that. Stop him from scoring touchdowns. It's really just that simple. If you can't do it, then get over it.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just one of those type of things where that really didn't bother me. His rant bothered me.
He definitely was good. He definitely was good for some sound bites.
Yeah. Well, his rant bothered me for this reason. His rant bothered me for this. You are a college-educated Stanford grad with the brain IQ probably 5-10 times that of mine. I wouldn't say necessarily that. I'm a fairly smart guy, but his IQ is obviously a little bit higher than mine. And you can't eloquate yourself better than to sound like a nigga from the street. Like that's
that hood came out for sure.
It did, and that's what bothered me more than anything else. Is I'm like, okay, bro. So basically, you showing the racist people in the world that even when we college educated, we still can't get away from being niggas. Like really, like that, and that's really what upset me more so than the fact that he had just beat my team, than the rest of all that BS, and the whole thing with him and defending Crabtree, because I really wasn't a huge fan of Crabtree. I liked him back when he was in Texas Tech, but wasn't a huge fan of him. So like it wasn't really the Niners Seahawks thing that got me. It was just how if he had came out and just been like, you know what, I came out here, I told you I was going to do it, and I did it. And we stopped their ass. Now we're going to Super Bowl. Instead of all that yelling and screaming and all that hood acting, I'd have probably been like, know, you Richard Sherman, but damn, boy, that was eloquent. All right, cool. But he came out with the and you don't know it. And I was just like, oh, God. This nigga start throwing up gang signs. I'm turning off all the TVs in this Buffalo Wild Wings. I can't do it. I can't do it. I hated him. But now he has my respect. Like real talk, Richard Sherman has my respect.
Actually he's a really good dude. He's hella intelligent. He gives back to the community. He's one of the ones that went and paid lunch bills for a bunch of kids at a bunch of schools. Like, you can't, I mean, I guess you can if you're an opposing team, but if you look at him as a person, not just as a player on a team that you might not like, he's really a good dude.
You know who he reminds me of as far as the whole package? Of Charles Woodson. Because after getting to know him, you know what I'm saying, after seeing him play, and of course, you know, I wasn't exactly fond of the Raiders back when I was a kid. So, you know, I had respect for him, but I wasn't exactly fond of him. So when he went to the Raiders, it was kind of like, But once again, I took the man as a whole, especially, like I said, once I got a chance to actually sit down and have some conversations with the man. I took the man as a whole, and I can't help but respect him. And that's kind of how I'm feeling about Richard Sherman. Yes, I don't deny that part of the thing that helped me be able to gather that respect for Richard Sherman was the fact that he came to the 49ers. Like, that's part of the reason why. But it's not the whole reason why. I had started to garner respect for him during the Kaepernick thing.
You could also see with Woodson how much he had matured from the first time he was in Oakland to when he came back. Yeah. He had leaps and bounds, and I mean, if nothing else, the leadership that he brought to that team is amazing, and I can totally see him being a coach someday.
Oh, I hope so. I would love to see him coach the Raiders someday.
I absolutely would too.
So the closest I've ever seen to anything, the closest I've ever seen to anything like that was on Madden. I witnessed Nnamdi Asomugha take over as the head coach of the Raiders after becoming a coach, because they have a feature on Madden that allows the older players to become coaches and then head coaches on the teams. And I saw Nnamdi rise to power, like right on.
He's another intelligent one.
Oh, highly.
Well, and he's got a hot wife.
Yes, 100%. No disagreement there. But while we're talking NFL, you know, hey, girl looks good. But NFL says they plan on starting on time. I don't know how I feel about that. Like, y'all might want to assess. Like, I know it's going to be difficult in California because Newsom's already said there's not going to be any sporting events allowed until at least next year. They just released, like, they're mostly central and southern California counties, but they've rolled back they're back to like phase 2 or something. So like they're having to close the bars again. They're having to do, and this is, I'm sorry, but this is all because of selfish ass people who can't fucking
do listen to rules or who think that they're above everybody else and are buying into this misconception that masks don't do anything, that masks aren't going to keep you safe. Yeah. Well, it's not just about you. It's also about keeping other people safe. So, and it's also these 18, 19, 20, 21-year-olds who completely have ignored the shelter in place, who completely have ignored social distancing. And I mean, I know before I moved, my next door neighbors had freaking multiple parties. Yeah. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Oh, seriously. Like, and I'm a frontline essential worker. So it's like, I get really upset because, you know, especially because I work inside a prison.
Yeah.
So somebody goes off and gets this, they come into work, and now the whole fucking prison has COVID. It's absolutely ridiculous. And I honestly think that I understand that people were hurting financially. I get it. But what basically has happened is we have said that we value the dollar more than human life right now.
Pretty much. Like they said, they always say, daily reminder. They're not opening back up because it's necessary. They're because it's safe. They're opening back up because it's financially necessary, not because they feel it's safe for you to be back out again. They basically said that whoever dies is an acceptable loss at this point. And I've never understood that term.
Until it's somebody you know who dies.
Well, like I tell people, I've never understood that term. Acceptable loss. Like, to me,
there's no such thing.
There should
That's
be
an oxymoron.
Yeah. You know, like, we shouldn't be willing to lose anything if we don't have to. Like don't get me wrong. Like, there are some situations in which there has to be a choice and you're going to lose one or the other anyway, so you got to make a choice. But there is no such thing as an acceptable loss.
Absolutely not. Especially when it can be prevented.
Yes, exactly. So, and I don't understand, really, to be honest with you, I've said this in multiple sports groups of mine, I don't understand it. And they're like, what don't you understand? I was like, I don't understand why y'all can't just deal with not having sports. It's okay. Like, I get it. Sports was an escape. So there's plenty of other escapes. Read a book.
Right?
Educate yourself. Some shit. You know, like fucking take a class. Take
this time to spend time with your family. Fuck. I mean, people in some ways should be looking at this. Okay, here's my social worker coming out. They need to start reframing this and looking at the opportunities that it's giving them that we don't normally have because our day-to-day life is so busy. Mm-hmm. Because we have to work sometimes 2 to 3 jobs. Yep. Well, it may suck, the financial part of it right now, but look at the time that it's giving you to spend with people that you wouldn't have otherwise.
Yep. I was talking to this young lady yesterday. I used to work with the Buffalo Wild Wings. She's a manager for the Buffalo Wild Wings out in my area. She used to work with me at a different one. And she was just talking about, she's got a newborn, and she's just like, it just sucks. I'm here. I always feel like I'm always leaving to work, like I'm always going somewhere. Like, I just don't feel like, I was like, and trust me. I told her, I was like, I understand where you're coming from. I was like, eventually I'm going to get back to working my 50, 60 hour work weeks. But for right now, I'm just enjoying. I'm enjoying only having to work a couple of days a week, and enjoying being able to get my daughter for weeks at a time instead of only being able to get her on the weekend, you know, and having her be able to spend that quality time with me. So it's like people
because that's time you can't get back.
Exactly. You know, and she's at an age when I was.
Exactly. And like when I was at San Quentin, I was spending 4 hours a day just in the car.
Driving, yeah.
So, I mean, it's crazy, you know, and it sucks and it's hitting small business owners really hard. Unfortunately, the people who were supposed to be getting the help aren't the ones who are getting the help.
Yeah.
People who don't need it are the ones who are getting it.
Yeah.
And then you've got all this misinformation out there, so people don't even know what to think anymore.
Yep. And that's the problem. Like, I was just stating this to my friend the other day. I was like, we have more access to information than we ever have in our history, in the history of our country, in the history of our world. We have more access to information, and yet we have more people refusing to access information and just believing basically whatever that they're told than we ever have in the history of our nation.
Yeah.
But let's kind of use that as a stopping point right there. We'll run through our commercial break and come back, talk a little Kaepernick, talk a little, a little more NFL topics, and then we'll also get to the Bubba Wallace NASCAR situation. You're listening to West Coast Bias right here on 4 Aces Presents Radio Network, Spreaker.com, iHeartRadio, Spotify, wherever else you find your favorite podcast.
Hey listener, Dutch here from Voice from the Underground, the podcast. My co-host and I want to invite you to check out our little corner of the podcast verse. At Voice from the Underground, we talk about all the crazy happening around us and try to make a little bit of sense out of the nonsense with little to no results. If the idea of hearing three semi-intelligent, outspoken nerds talk about politics, social issues, current events, sports, movies, pretty much anything that we decide to talk about because, well, it's our show, appeals to you, grab your shovel and come on down to the underground, and then consult a qualified psychotherapist. Find us wherever you get your podcasts, just not where you buy your weed.
Voice from the Underground.
So, what's up? Steve Fingerstyles here, the host of the podcast, spelled D-A, of course. Tune in each and every week to hear what pisses me off, what angers me, what I make fun of, and of course, my crazy rants. I also have incompetent co-hosts, cool guests, and a silent producer that sucks. So what more do you need from a podcast? You can listen on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, SoundCloud, and the Pod Bros Network. Peace.
From the galactic depths of the comic book universe comes the ghosts of the stratosphere, ready to galvanize and energize your mind with the latest of comic book news and reviews. And why are you stopping me? Yes, that's much better. Hi, this is Andy Larson for Ghosts of the Stratosphere. Join me every week along with my co-hosts Rob Stewart and Chad Smith, as well as a cavalcade of fantastic comic book guests, as we dish out heaping helpings of the greatest and latest of comic book news and reviews. New shows posted every Tuesday with bonus shows every first Friday of the month. You can find us on iTunes and Stitcher under Ghosts of the Stratosphere, as well as on our website, www.gotstratosphere.com. Hope to see you soon, folks.
All right, y'all. So we're back. So like I said, we're going to talk a little bit NFL. So we're going to get to some lighter-hearted shit real quick before we get to the serious stuff. And that is Lamar Jackson is set to be the new Madden cover boy. Now, I believe last year Patrick Mahomes was, and he did not suffer the Madden curse, so to speak, and ended up winning the Super Bowl, beating.
I bet the Niners wish he had.
You know, shit. Which I tell people though, people can say, because like I saw a lot of like on Father's Day, like the Niners should need to send Patrick Mahomes a card on Father's Day, like da-da-da. And I'm like, wait a minute, y'all, though. I feel what y'all are saying, but y'all are giving this man daddy status for 1 quarter worth of good play. For 3 quarters, the 49ers defense made that boy look like a child lost in headlights. And then in the 4th quarter, he finally got it. And unfortunately, our offense wasn't able to put us out far enough they wasn't able to put them out far enough that he couldn't make the comeback. And so I don't necessarily see it as he owned the Niners. I see it as, okay, it took him 3.5 quarters damn near to put it together offensively against that Niners defense. That's not daddy status. That's just, you know what, you just happen to get it done with enough time to get it done. All right, cool. Now, if he had owned us all game and he had thrown for 500 yards and 5 touchdowns and just dominated every quarter, that'd be something different. You had like 15 good plays out of 50, bro. Like, it wasn't domination. Y'all won, good for y'all, but it wasn't domination. Let's be real. And I tell people that I personally hope it's probably going to be, nobody wants to hear this again, but I personally hope it's going to be the 49ers and the Ravens this year in the Super Bowl again. That would be nice. But nobody wants to see the 49ers in the Super Bowl again. That's what makes it even more tempting.
No, we don't.
No.
No.
Unfortunately, they're a team that could get there again. They're good enough and they're young enough. Like they were saying, they have 2. I was reading an article today where they were saying they have 2 players that are over the age of 30. Trent Williams and Richard Sherman, who are both 32. Everybody else is like at least a couple of years away from turning 30. So they've got a young squad that can truly make some things happen. So don't think that's going to be their only Super Bowl appearance during this run. They'll get there again.
In another 5 years.
Maybe. Who knows? Shanahan signed on for another 6. He's the coach until 2026. So.
Yeah.
But they're going to have to start the season without... What's up?
We'll see. I mean, only time's going to tell.
Yeah.
I'm feeling kind of indifferent about the NFL right now.
For sure.
Because I'm feeling kind of indifferent about my team. Like, I don't even know if I can really call them my team at this point, just because. And I'm laughing at all the Raiders fans who are telling us fans who are maybe not going to be fans anymore. Not that we're going to jump onto another team, just that we're not going to be fans anymore because of everything that happened with Oakland.
Yeah.
And it's like talking about how we're not loyal. What the fuck are you talking about? The team isn't loyal.
Yeah. Well,
it's like, I mean, I'm sorry, but how many times do you take back a cheating significant other?
No, I understand. No. Okay, hold on. I've always said it like this because I have my homeboy Jamil, my homeboy Marty. All of y'all are on the same page. All of y'all are speaking the same language. All of y'all are saying pretty much, look, this team is doing this shit again, and I'm good on dealing with it anymore. And I feel you guys, but the way I've always stated it is like this. Then at this point, and there's nothing wrong with this, and Jamil has pretty much conceded to it as well, but some do, some don't. You were more of a fan of the city of Oakland than you necessarily were of the Raiders franchise. And the reason why I say that is because that's where your loyalty stands, because that's where you would like their loyalty to stand as well. It's to the city of Oakland. Not necessarily to you as a fan, but to the city of Oakland. And
it's also different. It's also different because I was still a fan, and I mean, I grew up really with them being in LA.
Right.
So part of it is also, it's not just they're moving, but they're moving entirely out of the state.
Right. They're
and
not even in
the
California.
other thing is how it happened. And everything that Mark Davis, I swear, everything he's doing is to spite Al. And what really got me is when Gruden came in, and what really pretty much pushed me over the edge was the Mac trade.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I feel you. It
That
just
really
felt like
kind
they
of
were
sealed the
dismantling
deal for
everything.
me. Yeah, because to me that was another fuck you to Oakland.
Yeah.
Instead of let's make this the best last season we have here in Oakland for everything that the town has done for that team. Still fucking in debt for that team.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like a big fuck you.
Yeah. And I've always said
Like
that
the
the Raiders
Amari
fandom is
Cooper trade, I was all good with that.
Yeah.
That was fine.
Well, he
He
hadn't
was
really
soft as hell.
produced.
So,
Yeah, he hadn't really produced. So, but no, 100%. I get what you're behind. Like, don't get me wrong. It's not that I don't understand where you guys are coming from. I'm just the type of person that I've been a fan of the 49ers my entire life. And yeah, the biggest move that they've really made is from San Francisco to Santa Clara, which ain't really much of a move in the first place. But I've always said all my life that it doesn't matter to me if the Niners can move to $10-2 Alaska, and I would be a Timbuktu, Alaska 49ers fan. It's just I'm a fan of the franchise, no matter where they move. And so,
well,
for
but
me,
see, here's the thing, though. Here's the thing:
they've
is
never
that the franchise isn't what the franchise was.
right? It's not.
Move or no move. What Mark has done to the franchise since he took over that's also another thing that I have a big issue with. Is I cannot stand that man.
Yeah.
And mark my words, in 5 years he won't be the owner of that team.
God willing, God and willing.
And then maybe I'll think about it again. But usually who I hear the argument from are people who aren't from Oakland,
Yeah.
who aren't from the Bay Area, who aren't from California. They're usually the ones who are like, well, I'm still a Raiders fan. Yeah, because it doesn't matter to you because you ain't never been to the games.
Yep,
Never
exactly.
been to a Raiders tailgate.
You never felt that energy.
Yes. So you're not losing anything.
Yeah. And that's the key thing to it is that technically for them they're not, and especially if you're not from Oakland, like my boy Jamil. The minute he was like, I'm done. The minute they announced the Las Vegas movie, he's like, I'm done. I'm not even watching football no more. I never questioned him. There was no, oh, dude, you're not loyal. It was like, I understand. Like, this is the second time in your lifetime that this team has basically said, fuck you, we're out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I wouldn't want to deal with that bullshit either. I was like I said, my Niners moved, but the biggest move that they made was from fucking San Francisco, Santa Clara.
Yeah.
You know, so
and the Niners really never talked about moving anywhere out of California.
right.
They always wanted to stay somewhere in that area. It was just a matter of where to put the stadium.
Yep. Oh, and for those people out there that say, oh, ever since the DeBartolo, so remember, guys, there's still a DeBartolo running the 49ers.
Right?
Like, people
Do
fail
they
to remember
forget
that. It's not Eddie anymore, but there's still a DeBartolo running the 49ers. Like, this is still a DeBartolo-owned family. I used to get in arguments with people about that all the time after Eddie got basically removed. Is people be like, dude, the DeBartolos do not
Nephew,
own.
isn't
No.
it?
Denise
Is it not?
DeBartolo is still owner of the 49ers. Eddie's sister still owns that damn team. Now they just
And
list it
her
as the
son runs the team.
Yep. I'm like, yeah, like, so, like, the DeBartolo still run that squad. But, and actually what's funny is that they've now started to kind of figure out the cap with the help of John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan, the way that Eddie figured out the cap, well, the lack of cap, and how to use it to his advantage during his time. You know, but this, the only difference is they're not really doing anything illegal in order to get there. Eddie was.
Yeah. They're not robbing Peter to pay Paul.
Exactly. But at the end of the day, the front office is better than it's been in the past 2 decades. So that's why I have faith in the 49ers continuing, not necessarily dominance, but continuing to be a competing team.
And just the opposite is why I have no faith in the Raiders.
Exactly. The lack of front office. And it's funny that two teams from 2 polar opposite cities, you know, within the Bay Area, you know, kind of represent the fact that they're polar opposites in how they're run as NFL franchises. Like, really,
Yep.
you don't hear much from New Yorks. You don't hear a lot from New Yorks unless it's speaking out about, stuff like Kaepernick's stance and stuff like that. The main faces and people that you hear from are Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch.
And that's who you should be hearing from.
Exactly. And in the Las Vegas situation, yeah, you hear from John Gruden, you hear from Mike Mayock, but then there's always dumbass Mark Davis saying shit and doing shit.
Al probably wished that Amy Trask had been his daughter rather than Mark being his son.
Oh my God. I don't know. Like, I've had some people try to convince me that this is what Al would have wanted, and I just don't buy it.
No.
I think Al would have done everything he could possibly do to try to stay in Oakland.
Yeah. I don't believe. In fact, I think that's even more of a reason why Mark did what he did.
Yeah.
People fail to realize the contentious relationship that they had.
Al and Mark had, yeah. 100%. And yeah. But getting back to some more modern day NFL stuff, we can get sidetracked with that anytime. Kaepernick's name has been coming up a lot. There's a lot of owners have outright said that they don't have an issue with their team signing Kaepernick. I'm pretty sure it's an empty gesture. I doubt I'm pretty sure if somebody brought an actual contract to him, they'd probably deny it, but we'll see. But one of the teams was Anthony Lynn and the Chargers, who said they were thinking about bringing him in for a workout, and he does fit their scheme. So if he were to get signed by the Chargers, would you look at that as a good football move, or would you look at it as they just want to be the team, being that really on the field to an extent they're irrelevant? So they just want to make themselves relevant by bringing him in.
It's funny that you use that language for that, because there are a lot of people, when Cap took his stance, that said that he was only doing that because to stay relevant.
To stay relevant.
Right?
Yeah.
Because he was not really relevant at that point. And that's why a lot of people questioned at the time, but everything he's done since then has backed up his platform.
Right.
His actions have backed up his protest. So I 100% believe in that. He believes in his, what he's doing. Now, as far as the Chargers, I don't know. I'd love to see Cap back in the league, but he's been out of the league, 4 years now?
Yeah, damn near.
How realistic is that really?
I think about as realistic as Josh Gordon coming back. Just saying. I'm just saying. The guy that can't lay off the weed.
Right. Shit, I love my weed too, but man.
Hey, I ain't gonna lie. Like I said, if somebody came up to me and said, yo, Kev, let me sit you down right quick. Look, bro, I got a job making $1 million a year right here for you. $1 million a year. You gotta just sign this contract and you gotta stop smoking weed. Oh, bro, let me get rid of this. Hold on, I got some homies who might want this. So ain't no temptation around here. Let me sign this contract.
I'd be like, hey, can I smoke this bag real quick? And then after that, yes, I'll sign.
One last run, player. One last run, please.
I'm not prepared for this. I have to say goodbye.
Like half-baked, huh?
You're right, though, because I've said that all along. It's like, who ruins this opportunity because they can't stop smoking weed? It's okay. It's not like he's addicted to cocaine. Yep. It's not like he's addicted to crack or meth or heroin. We're talking about weed. Ain't nobody suck dick for no weed, okay?
Pretty much. No, and I swear to people, I tell people, I was like, now don't get me wrong. I understand the argument that the NFL shouldn't even be testing for weed anyway. I get it.
But they are.
And, I hate to say it.
And that's part of your job.
Exactly. As much as people hate Stephen A. Smith, he's dead on right about that. Like, it don't matter. Like, it don't matter
That's not
that the
something you
NFL,
say every day.
you know, it don't matter that the NFL shouldn't have this rule. It don't matter that it's not fair. The rule is there. This dude shouldn't be giving up fucking making $10 million a year as one of the top wide receivers in the league easily just to smoke and joint. That's how you know you got a problem. Like, bottom line. Like, and now, mind you, I've ran into people that have been addicted to weed for the past 3 decades, and it really never caused an issue in their life. They were able to make money, they were able to pay their bills, they were able to handle their business, but yes, they were addicted to weed. Same here. I do not deny the fact that I am addicted. Why do I know that? Because if I don't smoke, you don't want to be around me for a couple weeks, because I am not exactly a happy camper. So that's how I know that, yes, I can honestly say I'm addicted to weed, but I can honestly say that this is an addiction that has never done any damage to my life.
I will honestly say I believe that there's a lot more going on with him than just the weed.
Yeah.
I feel like that's his coping mechanism. And until he addresses whatever he's trying to cope with, he's going to have problems.
Yeah, 100%. And until he admits that there's an issue, first and foremost.
Yeah. And it just goes to show that all the money in the world can't fix your problems.
Exactly. Can't fix your problems for nothing. So, all right. So, let's see. We'll close out with this one. So, a couple weeks ago, there's been this whole story surrounding NASCAR, which, by the way, like I said before, I think I said it last month too, NASCAR has actually been gaining a fan in me just because of the way that they've been handling this whole, and I was mentioning this to O'Malley off air, this whole Black Lives Matter thing and with Bubba Wallace and so on and so forth. And I've been respecting how they've taken a stance. You know, the banning of the Confederate flag, you know, so on and so forth. Like they've really taken a stance against racial inequality in this country. And for that, I applaud them 100%. But that leads us around to this situation that we've recently had with Bubba Wallace. And it was said that Bubba Wallace was found in Bubba Wallace's garage at a NASCAR event, a noose hanging in the place. Well, it turned out via the FBI that this noose or noose-looking thing had been there for years, or at least the past year. It was seen in photos as recent, far back as October 2019. They found that there was no threat, there was no hate crime, nothing like that. So blah blah. So now there's all this backlash on on NASCAR and on Bubba Wallace, and a lot of people are trying to compare him to Jussie Smollett. Who, those of you who don't remember, he was the actor who was on Empire, who basically, to an extent, I don't know if they ever proved it, but they proved that nobody ever attacked him, but they never proved that he necessarily staged the attack.
It's actually ongoing.
It's still ongoing.
It's not done.
But it's beginning to look like basically the evidence is kind of pointing people towards the fact that he had himself attacked just to be able to put this out there. So, okay, I have an issue, and this is what I was explaining to O'Malley. I have an issue with it from step one, only because of the fact that Bubba Wallace is not the one that reported the noose hanging in his garage. It was one of his NASCAR roadie guys. Because first and foremost, let's deal with the fact that Bubba Wallace is a NASCAR driver that with COVID-19 and the rules they have right now is not even allowed down in the garage area right now. They literally go from their trailer to their car, and then when they're done racing, they go from their car back to their trailer. So he never would have saw it in the first place. But there's been a lot of, see this dude over here trying to stir up racial tensions. Stop blaming him, people. It wasn't Bubba Wallace that reported it to NASCAR. It wasn't. Yes, was it? Yes, because did Bubba Wallace go on ahead and and reap the rewards with the whole showing of love that the NASCAR driver showed him at that last race and everything? Yeah, he did. But he didn't set it up to be that way. He was told that a noose-like thing was found hanging in his garage. He believed the dude because he trusted the dude. He didn't understand that it was a misunderstanding, and he went with it. But the fact that people are blaming him and blaming NASCAR as if they set this shit all up is what bothers me.
It's because they haven't taken the time to actually educate themselves on what really happened.
Yeah. And it's just one of those
Which
type of...
seems to be a theme going on right now.
Yeah. In America in general.
Mm-hmm.
Not looking up there, not seeking out the actual information necessary, you know. And that's the part that kills me is when I go, when did we as a society stop seeking knowledge? You know what I'm saying? Like in general, that's supposed to be one of the things that's advanced us to the point where we're at today. Is the fact that written within our human DNA is the desire to
learn,
and
to know, to seek.
And why? And when did that stop? Because it feels like somewhere along the way it stopped. People don't have that same desire to learn.
45 got in office.
Yeah, but I want to say it goes back a little further than that. It's gotten worse, a lot worse, exponentially worse, quickly since he has been in office. But
when Trump got on Twitter, that's when the world went to shit.
Oh man! One of my favorite memes that's come out of all of this is somebody on Facebook posted a meme that said they took Friends off of Netflix at the beginning of 2020, and it ain't been nobody's day, week, month, or year ever since. I was like, that's
ain't
a good
that
one.
Some shit?
But yeah, it's getting interesting out there in the world. Whether it's sports wise or politically, it's definitely getting interesting. And hopefully,
well, and they're crossing over now too. Because it used to be, people that shut up, stick to sports, don't, we don't want to hear your views on this and that. Now it's like if players don't speak up, it's like this damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Pretty much. No, it really is. Like, because I was listening to somebody talk the other day about LeBron James, and they was like, why he always got to have something? And I'm like, well, wait a minute, though. I don't know if it'd probably be the exact same people, but if he didn't speak out, there'd be a whole other conglomerate looking at, well, why is he so much of a pussy that he doesn't speak out? And so you can't have it both ways. You can't have an athlete that knows his role and doesn't speak up, and have an athlete that speaks out when the time's appropriate. It's just not. Either they speak
and
out or
I'm
they
sorry,
don't.
But I feel like if you have a platform, like if you're a celebrity, if you're an athlete and you have a platform, it's your obligation
to speak out,
to use that.
Yep. Yeah, it's kind of like, and to relate it, it's kind of like the struggle going on within the urban and the people of color community right now, is that when they say they need white voices to speak up, they mean it, because nothing's gonna change until that happens. And people go, well, what do you mean nothing's going to change? Because unfortunately, whether we like it or not, the way this society is set up, the people at the top share that skin color and are more likely to listen to people of their own color. Now, I know that sounds hella fucked up, because I know I would hate it if somebody was like, oh yeah, well, you're more likely to listen to a Barack Obama than you are to Donald Trump. Yeah, but that has nothing to do with skin color. That has to do with intelligence level.
But the thing is because I do a lot of advocacy, right? And I do a lot of advocacy for those who are incarcerated and for those who are formerly incarcerated. And unfortunately, when we're lobbying and we're doing things, often my voice is listened to more than somebody who's lived it.
Yeah.
Because they've been incarcerated or because they are incarcerated, which isn't right. But knowing that, I can at least help open a door for someone to listen to them.
And that's the key thing to it, is that, and that's why I tell people about what we're going to need in order for society to change today. I literally just made this statement to a friend of mine in discussing this yesterday while at lunch, that America's going to need white voices to speak up before we're going to see any criminal justice reform, before we're going to see any major changes in police. Now, don't get me wrong, we are seeing like these things taking some things away from the police. Now let's hope that they actually put them towards the resources and towards the places where we need them more. A lot of these cities and counties have already started to defund the police movement, and but I think the reason why things are changing now is because like I said to you after, well, this is history in the making that we're watching right here, guys. And when I say history in the making, I don't mean it was all planned out and we're watching a historical event that was planned out. No, we're watching what I call insta history.
Yeah,
we're seeing history be sparked from a single event and move literally the entire planet to want to make sure something gets done about this. Not just the U.S., not just a certain population within the U.S., but the entire world has spoken up.
We had protests all at the same time, protests in all 50 states in 13 countries.
Yep.
Now, if that ain't some shit.
And
but
understand.
What we need to do is we need to keep pushing forward with this momentum.
Yep.
Not look at the little shiny tiny things that they're dangling in front of us to assuage us right now. We need to keep this momentum going and keep pushing forward for legitimate change.
Yep, 100%. And that's what it really boils down to, is that we're looking for legitimate change. We're not looking to be placated with whatever, people think that they can just give us to make us go away.
Yeah, we're not going away.
Right. It needs to be something permanent, something that can be shown and that can make us say, okay, we're seeing change here happen before our eyes. And that's kind of where I'm at. I honestly think that we're going to begin to see some major change coming, because the people that are speaking up about it are not taking no for an answer. And that's what I love.
And we need to vote, people.
Yeah.
Get out there and vote.
That's a must.
That is one of the biggest ways that things are going to change. If you don't like it, get out there and vote.
And it doesn't matter whether or not your candidate wins or not. Still vote. If you don't put it,
because if too many people sit out there and say, well, I'm just one person, my vote doesn't mean shit. Well, there's tons of people who say that. Those people add up.
There's 4+, I believe there was something like, I want to say they said 40% of people that are eligible to vote did not vote in the last election, in the last presidential election. 40%, guys. That's almost half the people that can vote said, nah, I'm good.
Here's what I say. I always vote because people fought for my right to vote, and I'm not going to waste that.
Thank you.
So
Amen.
if you're a woman, if you're a person of color, people fought for our right to vote.
And died for that right.
And died.
Yep.
Absolutely. Fought and died for our right to vote. So we cannot waste that.
And if you do, that's on you, friend. Like, I ran into...
And you have no right to complain.
Exactly. I ran into a person of color a couple of months ago, and I asked him about voting in the primaries, and he's like, man, I don't fucking vote. My vote don't count anyway. I haven't had respect for him since. It just boils down to that for me.
Well, and it's hard because often you can't even... And I don't want to say argue is the wrong word, but you can't even... People who have that mindset usually are so set in that mindset that nothing you say is going to make a difference.
And that's the key thing to it. Nothing I say is going to make a difference. So, but all right, let's wrap it up. I got to start prepping for the next show at 5. We kind of got off sports there anyway for a little bit. So join us again next month. I'm pretty sure there'll be plenty more to talk about because it looks like this basketball thing is about to happen. And same thing with this baseball thing. So we should start seeing some actual
We
games.
can talk about what a shit show it is.
Yes, we can. All right, mamas. Hope y'all have a great night. Any last word for them?
Fuck LeBron. I mean, I'm just going to keep it the same as I always
Keep it
do. Fuck
consistent.
it. Fight on. Get out there and vote. Fuck LeBron. All of that.
All of that. All right, y'all. Have a great weekend. Like she said, get out there and vote. Peace.